and welcome to another video from oorail. Today we have a Dapol Royal Scot. This is a 460 steam locomotive, and it's actually, if I flip over the chassis here, you'll see it actually has Mainline stamped on the underneath of it, and I believe this was originally a Mainline model, and I guess at some point in time Dapol purchased Mainline and they were just re-releasing their products. So here you can see the box does kind of have a Mainline kind of look to it, and then you can see it's got Dapol kind of put on with a sticker here on that end, and then Dapol stamped down here. So there you can see it says D034 Marine Scot 460. Now I did check on the internet, and there is a Mainline model that looks exactly the same as this, and obviously this has got Mainline stamped on the underneath as I showed you. So I'm thinking it's basically the same thing. So if you got the Mainline model and you're having the same problem that I had, this will probably help you fix it as well. So to get the chassis open is quite simple. I'm going to need two screwdrivers. So I have this kind of smallish miniature screwdriver, and I also have this really small one that is from a cell phone repair kit. So you'll probably need both of those. Now I'm going to move the chassis out of the way. The only thing about the chassis is there are two bits of detailing there that hang down. Just gotta be careful not to break those when you take the chassis off. To remove the chassis though, it's quite simple. They're just two screws. There's one at the back, you can see here, right here, and that was the one that had the larger screw in it. And then here on the front, this is one right here. We got the smaller screw. So you undo the two of those, and those screws pop right out, right there, and then the chassis just lifts off. So it's very, very simple. The tools I had today, aside from the two screwdrivers, I had this miniature LED flashlight. It's helpful for looking at the detailing and just inspecting the loco. Also a pair of tweezers to help you pick some stuff out, whether it's the screws or other things. So what was wrong with this locomotive? So I actually picked this locomotive up, and it was sitting in the box of locos to do for the video advent calendar, and I was going to run it a few days ago, and unfortunately when I put it on the layout, it ran, but it wasn't moving very fast, so I had to crank the H&M controller, which is a fairly, I think it's got like a 2 amp output. I had to crank that up to like 100% to make the thing move, and when it moved it was really sluggish. It did start to move. It was really slowly, and then it would kind of start and stop and splutter, so obviously there was something wrong with it, so I decided to take it apart. So when I opened it up, I was greeted with this, and I've never actually seen a motor like this before. It has two screws on either side, it has some sort of insulating piece going down through the center here, and it's got another piece of the block on the other side. So I looked at the screw heads and I saw that these have obviously been taken apart several times. They've been stripped off pretty bad. This one in particular looks like it may not even come out. So rather than messing with it, I decided, you know what, this thing hasn't been lubricated for a while, so let's go ahead and try to lubricate it first and see if that fixes the problem. Remember, folks, with any kind of model railways, whether you're doing 00 scale, HO scale, N scale, or you know, even if it's not British stuff and it's maybe American or something else, you know, go the easiest route first, right? So if you've got a problem and the locomotive, you know, maybe secondhand, or you haven't run it for a while, you know, lubricate it, let it run on the layout a little bit, see if that resolves the problem before going and doing anything drastic like taking apart a motor. So I'll walk through what I did, and luckily this did fix the problem. So first of all, I just simply lubricated the motor, and without any instructions I sort of had to wing it, but I think I got it right. Of course, always use your 100% synthetic lubricant. You can get this stuff on eBay, model shops, whatnot. I used my usual bottle cap method, so toss some into a bottle cap, and then you simply get a paper clip. You see there, it's just been bent out a little bit. Dip the paper clip into the oil. You'll see it will produce a very small, fine amount of oil, and then you just simply touch the surface that you want to touch and lubricate, and that's as easy as that. So I'm going to walk through and just show you what we did lubricate. So the first thing we did I'll start it off on this side actually. So here, you gotta be careful not to lubricate either of these things. They're part of the electrical system of the motor. But right in the center, there is a small bearing right there. In fact, what I'll do is I'll zoom the camera in so you can see what's going on. So, like I said, don't lubricate these, part of the electrical system, but dead here in the dead center, just simply touch that with the lubricant and you're good to go. So what that is that is part of the motor. So there's a metal rod that goes through the motor, and there's two bearings on either side. There's that one there, and then on the opposite side you can see here there is another one right here. So what you want to do is just touch this one as well with the lubricant. So I'll just do it again so you can see a little tiny amount of lubricant on there, and you just simply touch it. And the nice thing with this is that when you touch it, it'll actually just drop in, and the lubricant will go ahead and lubricate what you need done. And then inside here, it's pretty hard to see, but there are kind of gear cogs in there. That's just the teeth off the gear, and that's where it makes contact with the motor and gets the power to the wheels. So that's what you need to lubricate as well. And that's basically it. Now what I also did, since this locomotive is really old, it helps to lubricate the axles as well. So what I do is I take a very, very small amount and very carefully simply drop it in there and just touch that part of the axle, and then you can push it down and then very carefully touch the other one, and then you can wiggle it back a little bit to get that lubricant in, and you're good to go. And you just do the same thing there, 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 and there, and you can just push down or push up on it to gain access to it. And then what you can do as well, this is plastic, so you don't really need to do this, but sometimes you will see that there are metal ones as well on those axles. So with the axle boxes and the axles all lubricated, the motor all lubricated, it's good to go. So what the next thing I did was I ran this on the layout, just the chassis, just to make sure that it worked. And I'll run you through basically a couple of tests that we do there, and then we'll show you it running on the layout. Okay, so we're over here at the layout. We've got everything hopefully all squared away. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and apply some power to it and see if we fix the problem. Now keep in mind, when I applied 100% power to this thing, it barely moved, and I had to actually push it a little bit to get it started. So hopefully, fingers crossed, this will work okay. Now just keep in mind, when you get locos like this off of eBay, secondhand, or even if they've come out of your attic or a relative's attic, they may not have been run for years, maybe in some cases decades. So you will need to give it a bit of a chance. So you know, you're going to have to kind of run it in a little bit, and you need to maybe apply a little bit of power, maybe a little bit more power than you need to, and then dial it back down as it starts to starts to work properly again. Sometimes with these older locomotives, you simply need to burn the carbon dirt right off of them, and to do that you need just to apply a little bit more power than you would normally. So we're going to start off applying about 25 to 50% power, and you can see it's already moving way better than it was before. Now I'm running this without the chassis on it without the body shell on it for a good reason. I want to make sure that it works before I go to the trouble of putting it back together. And sometimes with these locomotives, after you run them for a little bit, they'll develop other problems, or just because of their age, or there may have been other underlying problems there. So this at least gives you a chance to make sure it's fully working properly before you put it back together and get it running on your layout. So you can see here, I'm just moving it back and forth. It's moving pretty well. I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to do this for a couple of more minutes. I'm going to let it run in on the layout then for probably half an hour, about 15 minutes in each direction. And then we'll use it for upcoming videos. Okay, well I hope you found this video useful, and until next time.